back on this motor, and now that we got the camshaft installed, the timing chain, oil pump, timing cover, oil pan, the bottom end is pretty much done. I mean, we still got to put the lifters and all that in there, but I'm not going to do that right now. And I'll explain that to you. I'll explain why I'm not going to do it to you here in a little while. But let's go ahead and put the heads on this thing, because it's ready to have the heads put on it. So you guys probably saw my video on how to clean up the heads and get them ready to go. You want to rough them up with a little bit of sandpaper, get some tooth to them, right? Tooth, so the gaskets stick. Okay, that's important. Now, before we start putting these heads on, let's go over a couple things. I'll show you something about this motor, and then I'm going to show you a product that I'm going to use that, again, may cause a little controversy, but, you know, what's YouTube if it ain't controversy, right? So let's get started on that. All right, so let's uncover this thing. So you always want to keep your motor covered up when you're not working on it, to try to keep as much dust and dirt out of it as you can. You're never going to keep it all out, because I can tell you that when I uncovered this thing a little bit ago to look at it and cleaned it a little bit, there's already dirt in the cylinders where I oiled them again, so I wiped them all out again. But I mean, it doesn't hurt anything, it's not that big of a deal, but you know, it's there, but it's okay. We got it cleaned out. All right, so let me show you guys a couple things about, well, let me see. Let me turn over these heads real quick. You can see them. See the gasket surfaces on them. Alright, there's that one. Now we'll turn over this one. Okay. All right, let's get in a little closer here so we can see what's going on. Okay, so before I started this video, I took these heads outside and I used basically an entire can of brake clean, just spraying off all the surfaces. I didn't spray off the painted surfaces because I knew if I did, the paint would start peeling off and I'd have a big mess. So I just left that alone, but I cleaned, basically I stood them on their end on the ground, and I sprayed from top to bottom and just let the brake fluid run down and sprayed off all the dirt and stuff I could get. And then I flipped them over, and I did the same thing in here with the valve springs and all that. I sprayed them from top to bottom, let all that stuff run out just to make sure it was clean. And then I came in here and I took a cloth rag, because them blue towels over there, I like those blue towels. But when you spray brake clean on one and you're trying to wipe something off, they tend to like crumble pretty easily and they get a lot of lint on everything. So I just decided to use just a regular old red rag. I sprayed it down with brake clean. And even after I'd cleaned all that off outside, I took the rag soaked with brake clean and I wiped down all the surfaces on this side as much as I could. I wiped down the gasket surfaces over here where the intake manifold goes on. I wiped down where the exhaust manifold bolts up. And by the way, I did sand those and wire brush them the other day after I did the cleaning of the heads. I did all that off camera. So I got them all cleaned up and looking good. And even though that's probably the cleanest they're gonna be, I'm still gonna take some compressed air and I'm gonna blow all these off and make sure there's no dirt. You know, I can try to get everything off that I can, blow out all the passages, especially where the runners are, where the intake and exhaust runners are. I'm gonna blow those out. And then I'm gonna blow off the block too as well, just try to get any lint or anything that's left over from the towels. I mean, you can see it's really clean, but it doesn't hurt for it to be cleaner. Okay, now I wanna show you guys. So the surface of these heads, they look pretty good. They're nice, not bad. I'm happy with them. And I think they've probably been machined. If you look right there, see them lines? That looks like machining marks to me. So I'm pretty sure they've probably been milled at some point in their life. And that's gonna give me, you know, a slight bit more compression. You know, don't ever think you can mill a set of heads and get a ton of compression, because you're not. If you mill them so much that you're gonna even get a half a point of compression, say you wanna go from 9 to 9.5 to 1 compression ratio, and you think you can mill the heads and mill the block to get that, well, you technically you can, But then you also got to mill the intake manifold, because as the heads drop down further and the block drops down further, your bowl holes up here for the manifold, they drop down too, and pretty soon they won't line up anymore. So then you got to mill your manifold to fit down in that valley, because that valley is actually shrinking. It's getting smaller. You know what I'm saying? Because this side's going down and this side's going down the more you mill it. So you reach a certain point where you have to mill the intake also, and then at that point the intake will only fit on that engine, it won't fit on anything else. So, you know, milling for compression is not really worth it. And this block has also been milled because, number one, there's nothing here, and so that tells me that's been milled off. And again, if you look, you can see the milling lines where it's been milled. Now, if you look closer, you'll see like a little imperfection there and there. You know, there's little imperfections in this block, even though it's been milled. You know, around there, water jacket imperfections. Okay, over there. This side here is the same way. You know, there's little imperfections there, down there around the bolt hole, you know, around that bolt hole. Oh, that's a water jacket, sorry. Those are water jackets, not bolt holes. You know, there's a couple, there's not a lot, but there's a few places where there's imperfections. So you're probably gonna say, well, what do you do about that? Well, how do you fix that? Okay, well, let me show you what I'm gonna do to help with that. You know, obviously I don't wanna have to tear this block apart and have it milled, but I don't think that's even enough to worry about, because it's just a small amount of imperfection. But let me show you two things that can help with that, okay? Let me get these out. So, the first thing that's going to help you is put this in place. The first thing that's going to help you is to get a gasket like this Velcro blue stripe gasket that's got some soft material on the outside of it, and as you tighten the bolts down, clamp them down, it'll help fill in those imperfections. Okay, it'll help fill them in wherever they're at. That's one thing you can do. Now the other thing you can do that I'm going to do today. Now these gaskets, these are bolt-on ready gaskets. You know, you don't have to do anything to them. I could literally put the head on there right now, tighten the bolts, and it would be fine. But I'm gonna do one step further, and I've used this stuff before, and this is called copper spray gasket. They also have some blue that's a spray gasket, but the copper is high temperature, so I like the copper better. And if you read on here, it says improves heat transfer. So what it does is it gives you a better sealing surface between the gasket and the block. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them gaskets, even though they don't need it, I'm going to take them and I'm going to spray a gasket on both sides of them before I put the heads on. And I'm going to put it on there wet, because the spray from this will, let me get this off of here. I want to damage it. Be gentle. Come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. All right. So the liquid that is on the gasket will seep into these little imperfections and provide a lot better sealing than just a plain gasket by itself will. So if you've got small imperfections like this in your block, don't think, oh my God, I got to have my block machine, because that, I mean, if you look at that, it's really not a lot. It's a little bit, but it's not a lot. But spraying this former gasket, and you could use the blue stuff. It would probably work fine, but I did. Number one, that's all they had at the power store was this. And number two, it's a high temp, which, you know, of course, there's not a whole lot that's more high temperature than this area right here, right? Because it's where the explosion that I said I shouldn't happen, but I shouldn't have said before. The explosion happens in each cylinder. I've had guys criticize me, say, it's not an explosion, it's controlled. Okay, whatever, dudes. I'm just trying to explain how an engine works. Chill out. Anyhow, so this is a pretty hot area. So you definitely high heat's going to be good for you. So I'm going to spray them gaskets, both sides of them, with the copper forma gasket. And then I'm going to put the heads on there, and tighten them down, and we should be good to go. All them little slight imperfections in there will be filled in with that liquid, plus the gasket itself is soft, and it'll squish down into those areas and help seal it up. So let's do that, all right? Enough talking, let's see some action. All right, let's get you guys up here, and let's see. So let me get you, I'm gonna put them gaskets right down here on that cardboard right there, okay? And again, I told you guys before, it doesn't really matter which way the gaskets go. I always try to put them with the blue stripe facing up. It's just habit, but I mean, you can put them that way if you wanted to, but I always try to put them with the blue stripe facing up. So we're gonna spray the bottom side of them, what I call the bottom side first, right? You wanna shake this stuff up real good. It's got a rattler in it, you hear that like a can of paint, okay? You wanna shake it up really good. All right, we'll spray it on there. And it is copper colored, as you can see. And I'm gonna get it nice and wet. Not gonna hurt a thing. For it to be nice and wet. We like that. You betcha. Just a little extra sealing power here, guys. It's kind of like, I don't know, I guess putting glue on here, a liquid glue, so it kind of, you know, grabs a lot better, and this liquid really fills in the imperfections in the block or the heads. It's like I told you the other day, if I were to take a microscope and I were to look at the surface of that head after I sanded it, it would look like the Grand Canyon, because it's actually a very rough texture on that head, on the surface of that head, but it gives you tooth, right? Like I said. All right, now let's see what this says a second. It's good from negative 50 to 500 degrees, so that's plenty. It says fills minor irregularities and is especially effective in sealing non-absorbent surfaces, which this is non-absorbent. So prevents seizing of base connections and threaded fittings, which I don't care for about that. Ideal for exhaust manifold cylinder heads, look at this, and turbocharger flanges. So, but it's only good to 500 degrees, so I wouldn't know if I want to put it on a turbocharger or an exhaust manifold, but I'm not afraid to put it on a head, because I don't think these surfaces here are going to get 500 degrees, because they got water flowing around them. So, I was just seeing if there's a time period where you let it sit before you make the connection, but I don't see that. Now I got a little bit of a dilemma here, because this side's wet, so, but I want to spray the other side. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold it like this, and I'm going to spray this side. All right, there we go. Get it nice and wet. All right, I'm going to get some on my hand, but oh well. All right, there we go. Now we got a nice thick coat of that on there, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to lay it right in there like that. There we go. Okay, wipe my hands on my pants like all mechanics do, right? All right. Oh, are you able to see what I'm doing here? No. Okay, let me back it off a little bit. We'll get you on this side so you can see what I'm doing. I think I made a mistake here. I think I put this gasket on upside down, because I said I always put the blue stripes facing up. Dadgummit, I can't see them now. I got so much copper gasket on there. I think it's right. Okay. All right, there we go. I'm gonna spray a little bit where my fingers touched here. All right. Now I'm gonna flip this one over. And I'm gonna spray this side. So just a nice thick coat. You know, it doesn't have to be like running off there in buckets, but I just like a nice thick coat on there so I don't have to worry about the little imperfections that are in the block. Come on, baby, go on there. Come on, there we go. All right. Again, wipe my hands on my pants, and this stuff, I can tell you, it's really sticky on my fingers. So, and I'm gonna spray a little bit right here where my fingers touched it. Probably doesn't need it, but it looks like I'm a little light right there. So I got a nice heavy coat on there, okay? And again, hold on. My dog decided to lay on the floor right in front of my camera. Again, this is Permatex spray gasket, high temperature. I think this was about like 10 or 12 bucks a can, but I mean, I've used probably a fourth of it, maybe a third of it, so it'll last you for several engine builds. And you can use this on, you could use this on oil pan gaskets if you wanted to, I guess, and timing covered gaskets. But you guys know what I use, so But it works really well, really good for head gaskets. And if you've got, I talked before about different types of gaskets, right? They have an MLS, multi-layer steel gasket. Now I can tell you right now, multi-layer steel is steel. It's pieces of very thin metal that are riveted together basically, and you use that for a head gasket, and it works great for high performance, high compression, high pressure applications. But the thing is you have to have perfectly flat surfaces for it to work. So if I were going to use MLS gaskets on this head, I would want to have it milled and have all them imperfections taken out. And even after that, I would still use especially on MLS gaskets, because they're just steel. They're not going to fill in any imperfections, but this stuff will. So this is just going to give me a little extra clamping power for these heads to get a really good seal on this block, okay? All right, so I'm going to let that sit for a few minutes and just kind of set up until it gets tacky, because I don't want it to shift or move around. So I'm going to let it sit for a couple minutes, all right? I'll be back. All right, guys, I'm back here. One thing I forgot to do before I put these head gaskets in place, I forgot to take an air gun and blow out the lifter valley, but I can do that now. There's not a lot in there anyhow. I've cleaned it with that red rag soaked in brake clean, so there's not a lot in there. But I'm just gonna blow it out a little bit just to make sure that there's nothing in there that I want in there. I don't want in there, I should say. All right, we got that done. Now what I'm going to do is I've moved the crank to where all the pistons are at least partially down in the cylinders. And I'm going to take this oil that I've been using, and I'm just going to put just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit. I don't want to get it up where the gaskets are at. Just a little bit in each cylinder. There we go. Maybe a little more in that one. That way I know I've got plenty of lubrication in all the cylinders, okay? Just don't want to overfill these ones that are up close to the top of their bore. Ooh, I don't want to spill it either. Come on, dang it. Don't want to spill it. I definitely don't want to get all, I should have done this before I put the head gaskets on too. That way if I accidentally made a mess, I could clean it up. But I didn't. But it's okay. And I did wipe off the tops of the block where the heads go on. I wiped all that off with a rag, with the red rag with brake clean on it too before I started. So I just didn't show you guys that, but I didn't wipe all that off. I mean, you guys should know by now that I'm going to clean and clean and clean again because I want everything to be as clean as possible before I assemble it. All right. Okay. Whew. That oil is right at the top of those bores. I'm glad I stopped when I did. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing with these heads over here. So I'm going to take my blowgun and I'm just going to blow them off, just clean them up. I've already wiped them down with, you know, this red rag. It's actually still soaked in brake clean. So I'm going to wipe them, blow them off. Passages, places where, you know, dirt, whatever might be hiding. All right, there's that one. Scared my dog with the blowgun. I guess he doesn't like it very much. Since the valves are closed, when I blow into here, it's just going to blow anything back out because the valves aren't open. So it's easy to do it this way when the heads are off the vehicle because all your valves are closed, obviously. I also took the rag and I wiped down the painted surface here just to get any oil and grease off that because obviously we're going to want to paint this motor. Okay, we're ready to put these heads on. Let me go shut off this air compressor. Hold on. All right, I'm back. Okay, let's get these heads on this motor. All right, what are we waiting for? Uh-oh. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. Whew. Okay, we'll do this one first on this side. Now, it doesn't matter which head you put on which side. The only time that would matter would be is if you have accessory holes in the front. On only one end of the head, and you need to use accessory holes, then you'd want to mount them. But GM heads pretty much have accessory holes on on both ends. Well, wait a minute. No, I'm lying to you. This does matter. Okay. So let me show you what I mean. Okay. This head here has one bolt hole in it. See that? On this end, it has 3, okay? So I definitely want it on the passenger side. So I've got 3 holes to work with instead of 1. All right, now I gotta very carefully put this on here. And remember, we got alignment now, so you gotta line these up. And now that I got the head gaskets in place, I don't wanna move this thing around a lot. I wanna set it down on there and try to get it set on there correctly the first time. I'm trying to figure out how to grab it because it's really heavy. Okay. Oh. Come on, baby. Dadgummit, I can't get my hand in there. Jeez. There we go. Okay. All right, that one's in place. Oh, I'm wrong. Okay, so these heads have 1 hole on one end, 3 holes on the other end, and they're both that way. So no matter what way I put them, I'm going to only have 1 hole on this side. I'm a dork. All right. Oh, now let's put the other one on there. Okay. These heads probably weigh, I'm going to say around 80 pounds each. They're not light. So when you're putting them on your motor, very ready to hang on to them. You don't want to drop them, that's for sure. There we go. There we go. That just added a couple 100 pounds to the motor. All right. And now we've got, get this over here so you guys can see it. We've got all our head bolts on this table over here. And so these are all the head bolts that go on here, okay? Now if you notice, there's 3 different sizes, right? But there's only 4. There's only 4 of this middle size. See this one here? There's only 4 of them. There's a whole bunch of these and a whole bunch of these. So these go in a particular place. You guys know where they go? You have any idea? They go on the end. Let me show you. Turn the camera back. All right. They go right here on this end and right there on that end. Okay, so these 4 go in there, right? But now, what am I doing wrong? Remember what I said before about these head bolts? What do we got to do to them before we put them in? Because what are they going into? What's that? Yeah, they're going into water jackets, right? And some of them may not be, but it's just a good idea just to assume that all of them are. Okay, so what are we going to put on them? What do I always put on bolts and gaskets? Good old gasket shellac, right? Indian head, lion's head, whatever you want to call it. Permatex gasket shellac. This stuff will really seal up your head bolts, okay? So we're going to put that on every single one of these, and there's 17 of them on each side. That's a total of 34 of them. So every single one of them has got to have, I hope that can sit there without, I don't think that's a good idea. Every one of them has to have a nice, thick layer. Now this is unlike the Loctite blue. I try to coat the entire thread with that. And as I coat them, I stick them on there until I run out of sealer. All right, there we go. There we go. You should be able to get several of them out of one dip of this thing, this sponge into the bottle, right? And then these short ones down here, they go at the bottom of the head, okay? So the long ones go in between, the short ones or the medium length ones on the end, all these short ones go down here. They're exposed to the outside world. And here's another reason, while I'm doing this, here's another reason why I really like working on these older engines, because if you're working on a new engine and you're going to rebuild it, guess what the engineers decided to do? They decided to make all the head bolts what they call stretch to torque, which means when you torque them, they stretch, and eventually in time they stress fracture, because you can only torque them so many times before they'll fail. So after, once, twice, 3 times, I don't know, some of them are different. After a few times of using those head bolts, you get to go out and buy a brand new set of head bolts, because it's a way for them to make money off you. These bolts here, made in 1976, well, I'm putting them right back in this motor. I'm not worried about it. They're going to be just fine. There's nothing wrong with reusing head bolts on the older V8 engines. They were expected to be reused. When they came out with what they call torque to yield head bolts, or torque stretch head bolts, whatever you want to call them, I'm like, you guys are doing what? Why would you make a head bolt that you have to throw in the trash? That doesn't even make sense to me. But they did, and they still do today, because they don't care, because it's all about money, not about reliability. They figured out that if they engineered your motor to intentionally fail, then you'd be forced to buy another car pretty quick. And that's unfortunate, because when this motor was built in 1976, people bought engines. They bought cars basically as a once-in-a-lifetime purchase, and they expected them to last pretty much their entire life. But not anymore. Not anymore, unfortunately. But it is what it is, right? All right. Now, obviously, if I pulled these bolts out of this head and they didn't look right, you know, a couple of them are damaged, whatever, then yeah, I might want to think about replacing them. But I don't have to replace the whole set. I just got to replace the one that needs replaced, right? Okay. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to do these one at a time so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Try to get you where you can see, but I can also work. All right. That's probably going to be too close. Yeah, a little bit. All right. So what you want to remember about a V8 engine, now there's a torque, they call it torque sequence, okay? There's a torque sequence on this head. You start at a certain bolt, and then you go to another one, and another one, and another one, okay? What you want to remember what I did on the oil pad, you want to start in the middle, which is this bolt right here, and you want to go work your way outward. So the next closest ones in the middle will be that one, then that one, then that one, then that one, then that one, 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 and then the last is these two shorter bolts, okay? Now I got to get well, I guess I can screw these in by hand to start with, as far as I can get them. So now I've got them all coated with a nice thick coat of that shellac, right? No problemo. And it also helps get a little lubrication on the threads so that you're not getting false readings on your torque, right? And these are 9/16 bolts. Normally, the older engines use a 5/8 headed bolt, but they decided to make them smaller in the newer engines, which is fine. I mean, the bolt is still a 7/16 bolt. It's just a 9/16 head instead of a 5/8 head. All right. Get all these down there. I'm going to have a hard time reaching the others, so I'm going to go grab what I need to grab to tighten the other ones up with a socket. I'll be back. Don't go anywhere. All right. Let's see. Oh, wow. Nope. Wrong socket. Oh, wow. Okay. I was wrong. These bolt heads are 1/2 inch, not 5/8. I was thinking they were 5/8 for some reason. But I was wrong. It's okay. It's okay to be wrong sometimes. All right, I want to get a little small extension so I can reach everything okay. Okay, now we're going to screw all these in real quick. At this point, you want to kind of work fairly quickly so that everything doesn't dry up before you're done. All right, there we go. And obviously it doesn't matter which direction I go here because I'm just basically running them down until they make contact with the surface of the head. So I'm not torquing them yet. Okay, we're almost there. There we go. All right. Now basically what you want to remember is you're going to kind of go in a circle. So you're going to start this way, then you're going to widen your circle and widen your circle and widen your circle until you're all the way to the end. So you start in the middle and you push the gasket outward, right? And we're going to start at a low torque. So I'm going to use my 40-year-old torque wrench that I verified worked good with my other torque wrench, my brand new one. At least I don't think there's two of them that are wrong. Now this is at 25. These got a torque to 65 foot-pounds, okay? So this is at 20. So I'm going to put it at 25 to start with. And I may not get all the way to 25 and stop. I don't know. We'll see. Start in the middle. There we go. There we go. Work my way out. Let's see. Yeah, that one. And then that one. And then that one. And then that one. That one. That one. That one. That one. Oop. Wait a minute. Did I do that one? Oh. Okay. All right. That's 25 pounds. Now we're going to go up to 45 pounds. So that's 40. There's 45. All right, you guys able to see this okay? Am I in a good position here? Yeah, I mean, I could back out just a little bit, I guess, if you need to. All right, let's do it again. Start in the middle, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There we go. All right, now we're at 45 pounds. Okay, and now, since my Quinn starts at 50, I'm going to use it, and I'm going to go to 65 pounds with that, even though I could with this. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to leave this, and I'm going to check, after I've used my Quinn, I'm going to check with that one and see how it looks. All right, let me get my Quinn out. The one thing that disappoints me about this Quinn torque wrench from Harbor Freight is that it starts at 50 pounds. It really should start at less than that. I don't understand why. But of course, this one goes up to 150. This one goes up to 250. So, you know, there's a lot more higher range for this one. There's a lot more lower range for that one. But, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, so now I'm at 50 pounds. Oh, I forgot something. Remember what I told you guys? As soon as you're done, turn your torque wrench back to the lowest setting. Take the tension off the spring. All right, now we're going to turn this one up to 65. Let's see, that's 60 right there. And 65 right there. Okay, here we go. 1, 2. Uh-oh, I did that wrong, didn't I? Dadgummit. Should have done these first. That's all right. You just got one bolt out of sequence. There we go. And they're already pretty tight anyhow, so. Okay. Boy, what the heck? There's something wrong with this torque wrench. It ain't clicking the way it should be clicking. Huh. Well, I don't like that. All right, let's go back to this one. I may end up taking that Quinn back. 20, let me check these. 40, 60, 65. All right, I'm gonna check these real quick. See where I'm at with them. See, that's a nice loud click. Dang it, I did it again. All right, go back and double check them. Do it right order this time, Dave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, now, I'm going to leave this at 65 because now I'm going to go back and see what this Quinn does because I am not very happy right now. It's at, it's at 65 pounds. I should get a nice strong click out of it. 1, 2, 3, wow, 4, 5. I did it again. I keep doing these two instead of doing those two. Dadgummit. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I mean, it was okay, but my old 40-year-old torque wrench has way better click than that one does. 1, no, down here, Dave. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. The problem is, I think, is I'm standing over here so you guys can see, and I'm getting out of sequence. But anyhow, all right, those are torqued to 65 foot-pounds. I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to back this off. Whoops, I dropped my socket. That's all right. Okay, back that off. And I'm going to back this quint off, which I'm not very happy with. We'll see how it works on the other side. I hope this brand new quint doesn't fail me, but now I'm kind of doubting whether I can trust it or not. I don't know. Okay, so all those are torqued. And again, you want to go in a circle, ever widening circle from the middle outward until you get to the very last two bolts, which is these two shorter ones, okay? I kind of screwed up a little bit. You know, I only got one bolt out of sequence. It's not the end of the world. I wasn't tightening it down to full tightness, you know, and that's why you do it in steps, because even if I get, like, I was at 45 foot-pounds, if I did this one out of sequence, all the others are still at 45. So it's not like it's going to suddenly shift everything. You know, if you make one mistake, just go back and to your proper order and start over and do it again. You know, it's no big deal, okay? All right. If you do 4 or 5 out of sequence, well, you might be in trouble. Now we're going to do this side. Same way. Get our table over here with our head bolts on it. All right, let's get my gasket shellac out. I know you guys, you probably love this stuff, right? Dadgummit, I'm dripping it all over the floor, and I don't want to drip it on the floor. I want it on the threads. Okay, nice thick coat on these head bolts. There we go. No problemo. All right. We're getting her done, After this, we're basically to the point we can, I either have to decide whether I want to paint the engine after this, or I want to wait until I get it set up in the frame for the S10 frame with the 48 cab on it. I want to decide whether I want to get it set up on that first, because I got to put it in the frame and get my mounts all positioned correctly and all that. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but if I paint it now and then I go ahead and attach it to the transmission, then I don't have to, you know, disassemble it anymore. I'm done with it. So I'm kind of leaning towards going ahead and painting it. All right. The other problem is I got this cardboard underneath me, and I can't get right up against the motor, so it's hard to reach. Now we're going to take our two mid-length bolts. You guys remember where they go? Where do they go? Tell me. Where do they go? They go in the ends, right? Right there, a little bit shorter. You betcha. All right. Nice. And I am like filling these threads up. I mean, I'm running this thing sideways. I'm filling these threads completely full. See that? Those threads are completely full of this shellac. Shellac. You ever get a shellacking? You guys, you young guys know what it means to get a shellacking? Probably not. It means to get your ass kicked. That's what they used to say back in the day, but I don't think it's a term that's used very much anymore. But that's what it meant back then. There we go. I'm not kicking these bolts ass. I'm just giving them a shellacking. That's all. Of course, they don't have an ass, so you know it's hard to kick something's ass when it don't have one, right? Sorry, just trying to inject a little humor into my monotone little engine building videos, right? But anyhow, trying to teach you guys something here. There we go, nice thick. See how thick that is? Look at that. It's like running off there practically. When I put it in the hole there, some of it squishes out. But that's okay. All right, 2 more. I'm about out of shellac. But I think I can squeeze enough out of here to get these last 2 on. Last one. You know, all these extra steps I'm taking, putting this on the bolts and spraying that former gasket on the head gaskets, you know, that costs money and takes time. And, you know, you might be saying, well, you don't need to do all that. Well, you don't need to do it. But if you do it and it protects your engine, why not do it? So I do it. All right. Now we got to run all these down. And again, I don't have to do it, but I'm going to do it in the order that I'm supposed to tighten them down so you guys can kind of see what order it is. This is kind of a slow motion version of the order. If you watch me go, then you'll know which way to go as long as I don't make a mistake, which I did last time. We go up to this one. And over to this one. Trying to make sure you guys can see. I'm trying to stay out of your way. All right. And then down to that one. It's pretty easy when all the bolts are sticking out. They haven't been screwed in. And once they're all tight, you look at them like, well, crap, did I just do that one or do I need to do that one? But that's why you got to stick with the sequence, right? And I'm sure if you look up the bolt tightening sequence on a small block Chevy, it's exactly what I'm doing right here. And that one. And this one. This one. One thing I don't like, another thing I don't like about that Quinn torque wrench is you got to start out at 50 pounds. I don't like starting out at 50 pounds. I like to, if I've got something that's over 50 pounds in tightening torque, I like to do it in 3 steps, not 2. So with the Quinn, you have to go from 0 to 50 pounds, or just try to guess in between somewhere, and then go to 50 pounds, not 45, or you could try to dial it back to 45 and see if it works, and then go to 65. So for what I'm doing here, I mean, if I got, a diesel engine and it's got to have, 225 foot-pounds of torque on the cylinder heads, well, that's one thing, but these small block engines, even big block engines, they don't need, more than probably 175, well, let's see, this one here is 65, probably more than 120 foot-pounds of torque. So, now if you had a racing engine with studs, it might be a little more than that. All right. This one, that 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 one, and then the 2 mid-length ones on the outside. Okay, so those are all finger tight, basically. For now, I'm going to use my 40-year-old wrench that still clicks the way it's supposed to. And I'm going to turn it up to 25 foot-pounds. So it's 5 more than the lowest setting on it. All right, and let's torque these down. Get it right, Dave. You don't want to confuse these guys, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There we go. So now we're at 25 foot-pounds, right? Okay, yeah, you guys, I can move, I can turn you a little bit, I guess, but I mean, you got a pretty good view from there. All right, now I'm going to turn it up to 45 foot-pounds, all right? So I'm going to go 20 pounds more than where I just was. And at 45 foot-pounds, I'm still 5 foot-pounds less than this thing will do. So, you know, this is probably great if you're working on diesel trucks or whatever, but it's, I wouldn't say it's a great choice for this type of application. All right, now I'm at 45 foot-pounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. All right. Now we're at 45. Now we're going to go to 65. And I'm finally above the lower limit of the Quinn. 65. There we go. All right. One. See how loud that clicks? 2, 3, 4. Now you notice that I went this way this time. It really doesn't matter as long as you start in the middle. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Now you notice that before I went here, then I kind of went to circle this way and slowly came out. Well, this time I went this way and slowly came out. It doesn't matter whether you go start here and go to the front or start here and go to the back. You just want it, once you commit to whatever bolt you're going to tighten down, you want to continue in that circle fashion. So it doesn't matter which way as long as it's correct. All right, let's do it one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, now when I did that second round of 65-pound torques, a couple of them moved just a little bit when I did when I torqued it. So now I'm going to go back and do it again. You want to get to the point where none of them move. Okay, so let's do it again. I'll go backwards this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, whoops, 14, 15, 16, 17. All right. Now I'm going to leave that at 65 because I'm going to use it in just a minute. But I want to use this Quinn again and see how it does. It's at 50. So I want to turn it up to 65. Oops, that's 64. There we go. Let's see how good of a click we get out of it. That's a pretty good click. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So now it's clicking good. I don't know. It's kind of weird that it wasn't clicking good before. Okay. So I'm going to back this one off because I'm happy with that one now. It's kind of weird. It works and then it doesn't. So I don't know. Back this one off to 20 foot-pounds. Well, actually, I back it off. Usually back it off to 10 when I'm done. Take all the tension off the spring. That's why it's lasted me for 40 years. Okay. Now what are we going to do? So we got all the head bolts installed. The head gaskets have got the, where's it at? What did I do with it? Okay. The head gaskets were sprayed both sides with this, right? To help me get a good seal. And what did I put on all the head bolts? My good old shellac, right? Put that on all the head bolts, tighten everything down, and now everything's torqued, so all these bolts are under tension, right? And there's always a possibility that after they sit for a little bit, they could possibly lose a little bit of tension. And right now, that shellac that I put on the bolt threads is still, it's not dry yet. So what I'm going to do, now that I've done that side, this side is set for, 15 minutes while I did that side. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to do this side again and see if any of them move. They may or they may not. Let's find out. All right, I'm going to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing here. All right, here we go. Now I'm going to go back and do them again. And again, I told you guys this before. You do this as many times as you need to do it to know that you're satisfied that it's right, okay? It doesn't matter if you do it 1 time or 100 times. If you're uncomfortable with it, if it's your first or second engine and you're uncomfortable with it, do it however much you need to do it. I mean, I still do it 3 or 4 times just to double check myself. It's not a bad idea. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, no, let's do it again. 8, 9, oh crap, I did the wrong one, didn't I? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. This click on this thing is like going back and forth between loud and not loud, and I just don't really feel comfortable with it, to tell you guys the truth. I just don't. I think there might be something wrong with that wrench. I don't know. I'm going to go back to using this one. You know what? I'll do something. Dang it. My socket keeps falling off there. I'll do something else too. 60 foot-pounds, 65. This one here has a nice solid click every single time. 1, 2. I'm sorry, guys. Dadgummit. When I'm on this side, for some reason, I'm doing it wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. What I'm doing here, the reason I'm doing this again, I'm looking for any movement in the bolts. If they move, then it means that they've relaxed their tension a little bit, and I snugged them back up. And I did not get any movement out of any of those, okay? I'm going to back this down to 20 pounds or 10 pounds for now. And I'm going to go get something else here. Hold on a second. That's what I thought. So my brother, he's got this torque wrench, and I don't know how long he's had it, but judging from looking at it, it's pretty close to being the same as mine is, same size. I don't know. I guess it's how they made them back in the day, so I'm guessing this is probably about the same age as mine is. So let's dial this one up to 65 foot-pounds and see what we get out of it. I don't think it's going to move, but I just want to see what it does. 65. Okay. We got lots of torque wrenches, right? All right, let's see what it does. I'm curious. 1. Oh, down here, Dave, down here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, so I checked that with 2 different torque wrenches. I think we're fine. All right, and now let's go back over to this side and let's do it again. How many times are you going to do it, Dave? Well, until I think it needs to be, doesn't need to be done anymore. That's how many times I'm going to do it. All right, I'm going to take my brother's torque wrench here and I'm going to use it first here, see what happens. And then I'll follow it up with my torque wrench. 1, 2, 3. This one doesn't have nearly as loud a click. 4, 5, 6, 7. That one moved a little bit. 8. So that one. 9, 10, 11. That one moved a little bit. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. All right. That one seems pretty accurate. I'm going to back it back to 0. He had it backed way down, which is fine. You just want to be careful. You don't want to unscrew this handle all the way because there's a spring in there. If you screw that up, well, then you got to have it recalibrated. So you don't want to take it all too far. That's why I take mine down to, the lowest setting is 20. I take it down to 10. Because there's really no tension on the spring at 10. All right, let's crank this one back up to 65. There is, let's see, where are we at? There's 60 and 65. Okay. There we go. All right, let's try this one more time. I'll go backwards this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, so how many times have we checked these heads now? Probably 5 or 6 times each. I don't know, a lot. But I am confident, after using 3 different torque wrenches, that they are torqued to the correct spec. Okay. So now we're done with that part of it. I was going to say something. What was I going to say? I'm trying to remember. I don't know. I can't remember what I was going to say now. All right, so we're done with that. We've got them all torqued down to 65 foot-pounds. So now we're pretty much ready to either paint the engine or assemble it, but I've got roller rockers to put on it, so I don't want to assemble the top end of it because I got to use tall valve covers, and I got a set of old Chevrolet valve covers I'm going to put on here when I paint it, because I'll paint them as well, because it won't matter if they get paint on them. So I'm going to do that. Trying to think if there's anything else you guys need to know about this. I don't think so. All right, well, so that's the installation of the heads. They're in there now. You know, and I was wrong about the bolts on the end. For some reason, I was thinking they had 3 on each side, but they got 3 on this side, 1 on that side. So I'm good to go. They go either way. Sometimes even I make mistakes, you know. Sometimes I get a little rusty. All right, guys, so that's it for that. This engine is basically assembled, other than, you know, putting on your Go Fast goodies. Obviously, I got to, at some point, put the lifters, push rods, rock arms on here, and then I got to set the valves. And there's a lot of controversy out there about cams being wiped out and how to adjust your valves and all that. And with that being said, I'm probably going to try something different with this engine, and I'll show you what that is when I get to it, but it's not going to be right now. So this engine's basically ready to be painted at this point, and I think I'm probably going to go ahead and paint it now so that I can, when I bolt it to the transmission, I can just leave it on the transmission, not have to worry about painting it later. So that's probably what I'm going to do. So the next step you're probably going to see is me painting the engine. We can go over that. All right, guys. So, you know, 3 torque wrenches. One of them is brand new, and I'm not very impressed with it. I'm seriously considering about taking it back because it makes me nervous when you got a brand new torque wrench and it won't even click the same click every single time when you go to use it. So I don't know. I hope it's okay, but it makes me doubt whether it is or not. You know, of course, these 2 40-year-old ones work just fine. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. So that's it for now. Hope you guys are enjoying this. Again, I'll say it again, subscribe to my channel, you know, hit that like button, leave me a comment, tell me what you think. Am I doing this right? Am I doing it wrong? You know, what's your opinion? I want to know. You know, everybody has different ways of doing things. Again, this is not the only way to build an engine. I'll say it again. There's plenty of other ways. Other people have different ideas, which is fine. You know, whatever idea you want to use for your engine build is what you should use. But this is what I've always done. It always worked for me. I've always been really cautious. You know, like I said before about spraying the copper gasket material on the head gaskets. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Spraying the material on the head gasket. You know, you have to do that. No, you don't have to do it. But is it going to hurt if you do? No. Is it going to help? Well, maybe. So why not do it? I remember what I was going to say now. So, gaskets back when I was a little baby, very young, gasket kits, a lot of them you had to, say from like 1970 on back, you had to run the engine for a while, and then they wanted you to re-torque everything again, okay? These Fel-Pro blue stripe gaskets are what's called a non-retorquing gasket. So once you put the engine together, you put the heads on, you bolt them down, you should not have to retorque them. If you want to, you can, but the problem is if you want to retorque them, you got to take all the rocker arms, at least take them loose, if not take them off. And then your valves are all out of adjustment, you got to readjust them all again. So do you want to do that? I don't want to, but that's what you'd have to do. That's why I check the head bolts time and time again. And tell you guys the truth, I'll probably, before I am done with this thing, I'll probably get my torque wrench out and recheck them all one more time, just to make sure after it's sat for 24 hours or whatever, just to make sure one of them didn't move. I don't expect it to. I'm probably not gonna wait 24 hours because I don't want that thread sealer to dry. So, you know, I'll probably wait an hour or two and then recheck them again just to make sure they haven't stretched a little bit, which, you know, these bolts are really good about not stretching. That's what I love about them. You don't have to throw them away. You can reuse them, you know, until they're not usable anymore, you can reuse them. So, you know, I don't have a problem with that, but you don't have to retorque these. You shouldn't have to. Now, there may be certain applications, you know, a race engine or something like that. You may, since you're sometimes you're taking it apart, you know, between races or whatever, you may want to, if you're not taking the heads off, you may want to do a quick check on the torque on the heads. You know, it ain't going to hurt anything, but, you know, you're probably going to find it doesn't move. But anyhow, these you don't have to. This is a street engine. It's not ever going to see any heavy duty usage, so it's fine the way it is. As far as I'm concerned, it's done now. The heads are installed. I should not have to recheck them. You know, after 500 miles of driving or whatever. Like I said, I'll probably recheck them here in a little while, but at this point, this is pretty much done. So we'll go on to the next step. Hope you guys enjoy this. Subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment below, good or bad. I can take the bad stuff. I don't care, you know. Some people like what I do. Some people don't. Some people want to be haters, you know, whatever. I can deal with it. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this sequence so far of putting this engine together. I hope it helps somebody. Let me know if it does. Let me know if you like it. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.